we're here, and deflect, step through, slash, step back, push. This is a pretty cool move actually, which I like in the Saber form, which is here. So in this case, right, it's a push. You're using your arm to push back somebody. If somebody, for example, was too close, somebody's coming to grapple you, try to take you out, you're here and you just push them back. You put the blade in between yourself. And so it's not a strike, right? I'm trying to kill that poor plant. You're just pushing back or blocking. In this case, we have a choice because we could either keep the footing, left leg, right arm, so it's here, or we can shift forward to make it so that it's the left arm that's doing the pushing because we're on the right leg, right? So we hit or we strike, step back, push, which I kind of like actually, right? So you're bringing your foot, full foot, because then you turn, shift back, turn, slash down. And here in this case, we're going to stay on that rear leg. So this is here, step, turn, and it's a rising on the rear leg to chop, to cut. And now, now there's this move, which I love. I've seen it done several different ways in the public form, right? So I've seen it done here, which makes no sense. There's no reason for you to go all the way over here, especially if the enemy is over there. I've seen one variation which is actually kind of cool, which is actually keeping the sword very much in front, which is cool. We're going to do something similar. Deflect, control, strike, right? So the idea is that after the chop, there's a deflection, which is very much yin, right? Sword comes, deflect, and then that turn, and notice I'm going to rest my hand here on the blade because weight is on the left leg, deflect, right? Right hand is full, but then I'm going to shift the weight forward onto the right leg. So now my left hand is full. And you can think of engaging an opponent's sword and then pushing that sword away, right? You deflect and you kind of wrap your own saber around that sword and then you push it out of the way. So that now when you step in, notice left leg, right hand, right? So you've chopped, you draw in, deflect, jab, or poke. And then we come back, we slash to the other side, right? So we've kind of added a little more precision in the stepping and the relationship between hands and feet. So to go back, we were here, and we step back, deflect, step back and deflect, and then come in and chop. All right, we're here, boom, step in, chop. Then step back, push, right, and step back, step, then rise up on the left leg, cut with the right hand. Sit, deflect, so pushing here, weight is transferred onto the front leg, and then step through, and then here again, I bring in the right foot because my weight is on the left leg. So it's a full extension. I'm really going deep into my opponent's guard. There's no point in just doing this. You want to go all the way in. Right? And then come back. And here we're going to push. Weight is on the right, pushing with the left. Turn. Cut. Sit. Control. Jab. Push. Or push. Turn, this is the final one. Rise up and chook, cut, come back. This is a full body kind of jabbing forward. In this case, we're kind of bringing the full body so that both hands are helping push. I'm essentially, you can put your hand here, right, or here, probably here is the safest, or simply the hand here to help. Right, I'm hooking my thumb behind my wrist for help in the thrust. Now we're on the right leg. Step in, swoop, swoop up. And we're like, this is interesting. Left leg, right hand. So we're in correct position. Correct position. And then we're going to go here and because we switch foot, right leg, left hand, which is fine because it's basically we're here and now, right, we're deflecting something which is very close. We're using the left hand to push down on the blade for that deflection. Right, either it's something heavy or it's somebody who's so close to us, right, because we're here. We want to move a body out of the way, right? Boom. That's also hinted at by this move here. If it's a deflection, but then somebody comes in close, you want to bring the sword back so they go for the sword, for example, right? It's an attack on the sword, essentially. So you bring the sword back and then you push them back down. And then from here, strike. And this is kind of validating this idea that there's somebody who's very close. That's why you're pushing them down, and then you strike them with the pommel of the saber. And then you come here, and then you push them back. You kick them. Now here, step, and double punch, and then step, and double punch. So in the public form, these double punches are here, I believe, and sometimes there's one here, sometimes people do both fully seated onto that front leg. And again, we don't see that in the Michuan style. We're going to stay either planted on that rear foot, or if we're going to move forward onto that front foot, we bring that foot in so the hip is engaged. So in terms of application, right? So the simplest way of thinking of this is that this is you're hitting somebody to the temple and to the ribs, right? You're using the pommel to smack him in the ribs, the fist, and that's where it's like this, into the temple. And so you do it twice because you're here, you turn and you go here, and then you come, you do it here, boom, or here. Essentially what you're doing is, if you want to do it fully, you're doing once, weight on the rear, and then you turn, and then once, weight on the front. So you have both, you're basically showcasing both options, how you're doing it. Weight on the rear, weight on the front. And it shifts which hand essentially is dominant. There's a cool other application that I think is in there, which is less evident. But at this point in the saber form, the saber is essentially back against our own body, right? So why are we not using it to push back the attacker here? The reason is because they're too close, right? So if somebody's here, somebody's trying to engage, they wrap their arms around us, so now we can't strike, we can't use the saber, we can't use the distance that the saber gives us because they're too close. So what we have to do is get them away from us. So this is one way. You could say you're punching somebody who's very close and you're, boom. One thing, another version, which I like better, is that you want to think of those two punches, not as punches at all, but as throws. Because what you're doing, if you think about it, if somebody is here, arms around you, and you're going right, like this, and then what becomes important is not the moment of striking, but the moment of turning as well. Because if you've hooked their arm, and you can do this with the handle of the sword, and you're raising, so one arm is essentially like this, and you've caught the armpit with one hand, and the other one is here, and you turn, what you've done is essentially throw them over your hip. So from here, right, I've done a kick, you come here, notice the sword is by the side, and now you're wrapping around, So this is raising the arm or under, and then you turn. That's a flip. Boom. Right. Or even boom. And then the second throw, or the second double punch, is going to be either, don't like this idea of, like, if you've thrown the guy, you're here, it's more that there's two ways you can do the throw, essentially. You can do it by pulling back, or you can do it by pulling forward. That's essentially what you're doing, right? Because you're shifting, you're lifting the guy's arm with the pommel of the sword, while your other hand, right, is pulling him down. That's why it's also a fist, because you've grabbed the shirt, you grab the arm, right? You come here, grab the arm, and you yank him on the turn. And notice, look at this finishing position, just the same as punching. So I think that's what's really happening here, which is kind of fun, right? Because you're here, somebody's coming in too close. We saw over here, somebody's close. We're going to try to hit them in the head, in the face with the pommel. That didn't work. We're going to kick them. Bam, they're still there. So now they're going to grab us, and we're going to throw them. And now we throw them over the hip. Boom. And now they're down. So now we go through. Right, we come, and now, so we've done this, and now deflect, come here, kick. Now there's enough distance, strike. Correct leg, arm position, we're good. So now, next step, we turn, and strike. In the classic form, the weight is on the right leg, but here we're just simply going to keep it on the left. So we're here, boom. Which also helps us immediately with the next step, which is here. Right, so we're bam, come back, push. Right. Now, simple. In the classic form, or the public form, we step, and then we step. The problem, of course, for us is that here, this step, we're one-sided, right? Weight is both on the right leg and it's the right hand. So we need to change that. We need to figure out how can we go from this strike to this strike, where basically we're here. That allows us to then turn and come here. So the easiest way is simply to do exactly what I did, which means after we were here, we come back, we come here, and then we turn. And then we turn. That sounds boring. It's also not very, what's this? Is that really a cut? That doesn't seem very interesting, does it? Or practical, really? Is it just... So, what can we do? How can we make this a little more useful? Well, let's see. We have here, boom, come back, boom. There is a move in the sword form which takes you all the way around. In the sword form, it's done with the sword here, and it's clearly a clearing sword move where you're clearing space so that you have actually enough space so that you can draw the sword. So we can do something similar here, because that'd be fun. So we're here or here, a little higher so it's not pointing at the ground, but here, step back, here, and then right. So we'll do that because that's more fun. Then, right, because the other option was just simply step and then step. So we're essentially adding a step. We're going. We're here. Come back. push, let's clear space. So we're turn, foot is pointing to the diagonal, step. All right. In the public form, all right, we're here, push back, we cut, and then we do, so along the horizontal, and then we do a cut along the vertical to take us to the rear diagonal. So that's where we need to end up. So from here, let's see, we were here, come back, push, and then we can step, step, cut. All right? Step, step, cut. Cut. So we cut, cut, shifting the weight. So here, weight is on the left, weight is on the left. That's that cut to this side. And then from here, turn. And we can make that, so it's a cut and then pull. Right? See what I'm doing? I'm pulling because we're going to change direction. We're going to go from horizontal to vertical. So we're going to do that by pulling. And notice I'm doing this with the waist. You pull until the sword essentially is close to you, and then you cut. And then as you go up, so that's the cut right here, right? You've slashed, cut by sitting back, pull even more, cut and rise. Boom. And then we're going to step through. So here, boom. Sorry, it's here to the diagonal. So that's the cut underneath. Flap. And then we're going to pull through and step here. Right? That's the next step in the form. Here. So we slash this poor bastard. Bap. We cut. We're going to cut. So if you imagine a bunch of people around, remember, because this all started because people were very close, so we had to clear the space, and then we're here, pick up here, and then step here, and now we're going to go here. If we really want to be cool, we do this. Just straight out of the sword form. It's a rhinoceros gazing at the moon. So we can go here, and then here, and then, right? And then, oops. Sorry. Getting too confusing because we want to go from the classic form. We want to go from here, that was here, that was here, that was, step through, that's right. So we would have to go here and then step in. Actually, that would work. Step in and then come in and kind of forget about going back that way because we've just cut some of these family jewels off, slash open their belly, and then we come back. And then, boom. That's the next step, which is similar to what we saw at the beginning. And it's a way of essentially shifting, right? Because we're here, we're here, step through, go for the throat, and really give it to them, either a knee, or this can be a kick or a throw, right? Because you come in here, close enough, you just pull up, and you throw them out. Here, and then it's a nice way to step back. So now we're here, left hand on the blade. My weight is on the right leg, so it's the left hand that's actually dominant, that's full here, right? So we were here, and then, so now again pushing down with the left hand, that's the advantage of the saber, pushing down with the left hand, and then we, then we cut. So here, and then, so we would be here. This can also be a block, right? We were here, something comes towards us, block, turn that into a strike, shifting the weight onto the left leg, right? strike, and then we turn. Strike, we turn, because now we're closing in. So now we're going to strike, punch, come back, and here. Right. So we were here, we simply, notice that as I'm here, I step back, shift the weight. And the weight shifts in the same time as I shift sword from hand to hand, so that when I'm here, weight's on the left, shift back, left leg, right hand, right leg, left hand. So it's both a shift of the weight and a shift of the hand that happens simultaneously. But we were here, right, facing this direction, and then from here, stepping, and we're going to do boom, that punch again, come back here.